It is December 18th, 2024, in Oklahoma State. There is a jail that has a very large number of death cells, and their count would be around 200. A penitentiary guard, while doing his rounds, reached a cell inside which sat a prisoner who was to die in 48 hours. This is the story of Kevin Ray, who was spending the last 48 hours of his life. The time is 11 a.m. This is the time he was spending in the prisoner room. His food was prepared 3 times a day. Today, his breakfast was ready and was being brought. The guard opposite his cell was guarding him. That guard was judging Kevin Ray's every movement. Kevin Ray was waiting for his breakfast in his cell. For Kevin Ray, breakfast was given from a special place made in a cell. It was a plate. His breakfast was made in a small quantity and was given in the same plate he received daily. Kevin Ray's daily weight count was taken. His entire body was checked. His body was scanned so that he would not cause harm to himself anywhere. In Oklahoma State, there were other methods of death as well, such as a prisoner would be seated in a specific electric chair and given death through electricity to the head. But Kevin Ray's death was different. At 1 p.m., the time came to shift Kevin Ray within the Oklahoma prison cell, and he was moved from his cell to another death cell. Kevin was now taken out of his cell. Kevin Ray was in cell unit number 1. Now he was to be shifted to unit number 2. There was a short distance between these two. Kevin Ray was seated in the prison van. Kevin Ray was seeing the outside view after 34 days, but he himself knew what feelings he would have inside. The prisoner Kevin Ray's van entered unit number 2. The van's speed was a bit fast due to security concerns. After entering unit number 2, the van had to go through security clearance. After all those security clearances, they began to enter the death cell. Kevin was taken down outside the death cell in unit number 2. Now, Kevin had to spend 24 hours here. After getting down, Kevin looked at the sky, and this was the last time he would see the sun. Kevin was now brought into the hall of unit number 2. He was being held tightly from behind. He was walking as if he had no strength in his feet. This was the death cell, where Kevin had to spend the last 24 hours of his life. This was his final resting place. A good bed, a place to wash his face, a good washroom, a nice table for eating, and cold drinks. Opposite his cell, a penitentiary guard was assigned duty, who watched his every movement. A few hours later, Kevin was taken to speak with his family. There is a call center in the prison. Kevin only spoke to his wife from his family. His final call with his own family was arranged. There is a glass partition between the family and the prisoner. After the call, he was taken back to the death cell. The guard was with him. For his meal, according to his last wish, boiled chicken, beer, burger, and cold drink were given to him. Next morning at 5 a.m., people were slowly arriving at unit number 2. This was the time when Kevin Ray was to be executed. Among those people were Kevin Ray's own relatives, neighbors, and people opposed to Kevin. They were entering unit number 2 one by one. Now, all the people were seated in a hall. On one side were Kevin's family, relatives, and neighbors, and on the other side were the opposing people. In front of all these people was a closed room. They all saw that a bed was made. Preparations were being made to lay a person there, and everything was being checked. Inside, 3 to 4 people were setting up the arrangements. There was also a phone inside that room, used in emergencies. On the other side, Kevin Ray was sleeping in his death cell. This was the last morning of his life. He woke up hearing the noise around him. He felt that these were now the last hours of his life. He had a new uniform. This uniform is always given fresh to the prisoner on the day of execution. Outside the death cell, a man who monitors the prisoner's condition was standing. Kevin was given time for a shower. He looked at everything present in the death cell because he would not be returning to this death cell. Now, Kevin was called from outside to come out. Kevin began to exit the death cell. Kevin now came out of his death cell. A penitentiary guard was with him. Kevin, walking slowly with those guards, reached the building of the death room. He was now experiencing the last moments of his life. After entering the death room, the door was closed, so no one else could enter. Kevin was now laid on the injection bed, where he was to be executed. Kevin was to be given an instant death within 30 minutes. When Kevin lay on the bed, first his right hand's veins were checked for movement. When it was fine, the right hand was tied. Then, the veins and fever condition of Kevin's left hand were checked. There, expert doctors were present. After tying the left hand, his data and everything were checked on the computer. Every movement and condition of his body was observed. This was the room where everything was being controlled. All instructions were coming from this room. The monitoring system was in this same room. After tying Kevin's left hand, one strap came loose, so it was fixed again. Now Kevin's fever condition was checked again. His vein movement was seen, and the injectable vein was located. The injection into the vein was started. 3 injectable syringes were placed in his left hand. Each syringe had its own function, and their connection was from the monitoring room behind. Everyone in the death room was looking towards the phone, hoping maybe Kevin's opponent would forgive him. Now, every scenario for Kevin's execution was ready. The injectable syringes were fixed on his hand, and their connection was ready. Now, the injection bed on which Kevin Ray was lying was raised upwards. In front of it was a hall where people were seated. The curtain between the death room and the hall was removed. Kevin saw all his relatives for the first time in 34 days. Among them were his family members, relatives, and the opposing people seated. Kevin and his relatives were face to face. It was a very sad environment. They were witnessing a prisoner's death live for the first time. Now from there, the injection began its work. Kevin gradually drifted into a light sleep-like state. After 30 minutes, there was an instructor present in that room. He was noting every condition. There are 3 injectable points in a row. The first is the midazolam point, connected to a 10-meter-long tube. This IV tube runs from the monitoring room towards the death room. The injection fluid enters his hand veins through the IV tube. Each vein has its own function. Midazolam directly affects the lungs, causing difficulty in breathing, and gradually the person enters a dying state. The remaining injectable fluids exiting through the IV tubes perform different functions in the body. Their length is 20 meters. The brown-colored IV tube controls the brain. It performs the function of an electric shock to the brain, causing all brain activity to cease. The red-colored IV tube affects the heart, causing the heartbeat to stop and the body to die within minutes. This entire process took 30 minutes, and Kevin was killed through the injectable IV tubes. After Kevin's death was confirmed, the curtain between the death room and the hall was closed, letting all the people present in the hall know of his death.